Hello everyone, I am Catechus, and today we will be continuing our guided walkthrough for Breath of Fire 2. Last episode, the forces of evil were released upon the world, but apparently there is still hope if we can find Patty. Oh boy! However, this episode we're going to take a slight detour as we check out the final Shaman transformations and how to max our stats through cooking. Now sit back and grab some snacks as we dive in. Alright, we're just getting in there. Okay, here we are. As you can see, I slightly changed up our team. We have Bo, Nina, and Sten here. And what we're going to do right now is go over everyone's potential shaman transformations. And I guess we should start off with who the shamans are. Now, there are 6 shamans that you can find throughout the game. And through this walkthrough, we've already found them in our travels. But here's a quick recap. So the first shaman we received through our travels was Sana, the fire shaman, and we got her over in episode 9. She's one of the shaman that you cannot miss throughout the game, and her bonus when fused is a plus 25% to attack. Then there's the water shaman, Seso. We got her in episode 10 in the Witch Tower. She isn't mandatory, but she's not missable, so if you missed her, go check out that episode and you'll see how to get her. And what she does is a flat 25% increase to a character's wisdom. Then there's the Wind Shaman Spoor. We got her in episode 25. She's not missable. We need her to turn off the fog in Fog Valley at the Sky Tower. And what she does is a 25% increase to vigor or a character's speed. Then the Earth Shaman Solo. She is by far the easiest one to miss and the only one that is permanently missable. We got her in episodes 27 for the setup and 35 for actually getting her. And what she does is increase a character's defense by 25% of their stamina, I think. But anyway, to get her, what you have to do is before you destroy Evrai, you have to donate 20 times to Namada's temple for a total of 2,000 coins. There is no alert or anything for that. You just have to keep track. You can go over, you just have to reach that goal. And then you'll find her after Evrai falls in the fields of Rand's home. Then there's the Holy Shaman, Seny. We got her in episode 35. She's in Bando in the jail cells, the first cell after Evrai is destroyed. Surprisingly, she has no bonus, so she's kind of terrible. But terrible as she is, she's still required for quite a few transformations. Then lastly, there's the Devil Shaman, Shin. We got her in episode 35 as well. You can see a trend, how we got 3 of the 6 at the end of the game. You can find her once the sealed doors and gates is open. So what you have to do is go into Bushland, go to the left-hand path, and go down the stairs. Boom, there she is. And what she'll do is give a flat 25% boost to a character's AP when fused. However, I should point out during a major transformation, it's less important which ones you're using because they will get mostly a flat bonus to specific stats regardless of the shamans used for the transformation. Now that we got that out of the way, what we should do is talk about transformations. And what we're going to do is discuss Bo first. Bo only has a single transformation under his belt with one combination, and that is Seny and Shin. Now, what he's going to do is take his stats, and what you can see is like all transformations, AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense are all going to get boosted. Now let's see that transformation here. Yeah, alright. I'm not sure how this is a, quote, knight. It's more of a giant robot android thing with blaster cannons for arms. Now, one thing to note, Bo can still hunt in this form, and his projectiles go faster. Thank God. But he loses his innate shot ability. It is now replaced by Spry. What that does is attacks all enemies, and I believe for normal damage, but it cannot crit. He just comes out a blasting. Next on the list is Nina, and she has 2 transformations. One is just a color variant, which we've seen before, and what that requires is Spoor, and the combinations for that can be Sana and Spoor, Seso and Spoor, or just Spoor, and that'll get you the green Nina, and depending on how it's arranged, various stats will increase. Then what she has is the main transformation, which is a fairy, and that is used with Spoor and Seny. And again, this will raise her AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense stats. So let's see that. And it's pretty cool looking. It looks like her wings got a lot bigger. The thing is, though, she actually has 4 when you see her sprite walking around here. Yeah, she's got 4 wings now. Kinda neat. And she's constantly in hover mode, if you would. Also, I don't believe she can summon Mina anymore, but it's not like we can anyway this far in the game. Her battle command of Will has been replaced, so she doesn't regain AP through battle as easily, and that's not really important anymore because W fruits are so easily obtainable, and it's been replaced with Banish, and what that does is makes enemies flee. The problem with that is you don't gain XP or items or anything because the enemies just run away, so it's good and bad. Next on the list is Sten, and he has, again, 2 different kind of transformations. One is a color variant where he turns red, and to do that, he needs Sana of some sort. So some combinations are Sana, Sana and Solo, or Sana and Seny, and that'll get you the red Sten. And again, that just increases his stats depending on which 2 are united. Then for his big transformation, what he needs is Sana and Spoor. And continuing the trend, this is going to increase his AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense. So we're going to check that out. As you can see here, he's kind of a no-legged Jinn, or flaming monkey without legs. He's pretty good if you're item farming, but beyond that, he's not really my favorite. And he loses his overworld command with his stretchy arms, so you can't cross gaps anymore. In battle, his Rip ability has been replaced, so he can no longer play dead and try to avoid enemy attacks. Instead, he gets Sway, which what that does, it replaces the current enemy formation with a different formation from the same pool of enemies in your area, which is actually really good for item farming because then you don't have to waste your time with the pointless fights and you can just get to the ones you want to fight, try to get that legendary item. And for normal attacks, he just shoots big fireballs. Next on the list is Gene, and he only has 1 transformation into a frogman or prince Gene kind of a thing, but it can be accomplished 3 ways. Mainly with Seny, but the options are Seny, Seny and Spoor, or Seny and Seso. And like usual, because it's a major transformation, it will increase AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense for all the options that are available. So I'm just going to show basic Seny with no other shamans. And would you look at that, he gets actually kind of handsome, with the mohawk even. Now, his stats are kind of terrible with what I have shown, because in my playthrough he is rather low-leveled and still sporting gear from Semafort. However, while transformed like this, you can't turn into a frog and hop around, be warned. Now, I'm going to start off showing his base attack differences now, but do note, commands have changed. He no longer has jab, so his attack everyone with slightly less damage is gone. Instead, it has been replaced with chop, and what that does is it waits a turn, and then it just insta-kills all enemies in the field. Now, it does show 999 damage, but if they have more than health than that, they will still die. But it can miss. It will miss if the enemy is resistant or immune to the death spell. Keep that in mind. Next on the list is Spar. So Spar has 3 major transformations and 1 color variant where she can turn purple. And there are 2 ways to achieve this, one with Shin and then another with Shin and Spoor. Now on to the first major transformation, and we've played a large portion of the game with this transformation called Sprite, and the main ingredient for this is Seso, but there are a couple ways to achieve this as Seso, Seso and Spoor, Seso and Seny, and lastly Seso and Shin. And this will increase Spar's AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense like usual because it's a major transformation. She's just keeping everyone alive and messing with their stats. She's not really going to be a big damage dealer. And I'm just going to show the regular Seso transformation, because it is by far the most useful. Now let's see how it looks. Yeah, okay, it's pretty adorable. Sprite actually changes gender from a male to a female, and I know I've been screwing that up this entire time, bear with me. But as you can see, even the hat bobs, that's pretty cool. She does get to keep Spar's original ability to walk through trees, so you're not hindered by that, thank goodness. So overall, this is a cheap improvement for Spar as a whole. In combat, Spar's nature ability has been replaced with Spoor ability. So instead of doing damage depending on what environment you are currently in, you are instead going to try to put the enemy to sleep. However, there is a small chance it can put your own party to sleep if there's a headwind. I don't know, it just fails or something. Kind of weird. Now, her next transformation is the sapling. So there are 3 ways to do that. Just solo, Seso and solo, or solo and Seny. I'm going to show the just solo option, and like usual, this is going to increase Spar's overall AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense. So let's check it out. Okay, so this is clearly the joke one. And it is just really weird looking. It is literally a plant bulb with feet, and it hops around. Now, as a sapling, you can still walk through trees like Spar and Sprite, which is nice. However, the combat ability nature has again been replaced, this time with Bud. So what Bud is basically the Berserk command. You're going to lose control of Spar for the next 4 turns, and she's just going to do damage to an enemy at extra damage on repeat. Now, because you lose control of her, you're going to have to be very, very careful if you're ever going to use that ability. So kind of last-ditch effort, or have someone else on the team that's fast enough to use items to heal. Okay, the final transformation for Spar, and oh boy, she's got a lot of them, is called Dragon. Turns into a giant vine dragon. And for that, we're going to want Sana and Shin. It is the only combination. And you guessed it, this will increase her AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense. Kind of cool looking if you ask me, just a big old viney dragon. It looks like it came straight out of the Dragon Quest series, you know, those like vine dragons that you'd fight and always breathe fire on you and ruin your dang day. And like the others, the vine dragon is still able to go through trees. Now in battle, the special command remains the same as Spar's normal, so it's the nature command. So depending on what terrain you're on, you will do some sort of attack, or potentially heal everyone in your team. So it's very situational. Do note, it really doesn't work in dungeons, and for regular attacks, what she's going to do is just Beyblade at the enemy. Next on our list is Rand. He actually has a color variant, and it only has one option, and that is just solo, and that'll turn him blue and raise his defense. Otherwise, his major transformation is the rodent, and there are a couple ways to do that. Sana and solo, Seso and solo, or finally solo and Seny. So I'm going to show off the Seso and Solo, because that's usually what I do. And hold on to your hats, because this is going to increase his AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense. Can you believe it? And he turns into a tiny little armadillo-like creature. Now, he has a weird thing coming out the back of his head, and I hope it's a tail, but I really don't know what that is. Now, do note, Rand has lost his ability to curl up into a ball in the overworld and roll around, but honestly, it's not needed anymore at all. Combat-wise, his Wake ability remains, so he can still wake sleeping allies, or, on the very, very low chance, revive them with the power of punching. However, his attack animation did change, and it is kind of cool. He just body slams into them. Lastly, there is Katt. Katt only has one transformation, but 4 ways to get there. And that is with Shin, Shin and Sana, Shin and Seso, or Shin and Spoor. Now for this one, I'm just going to use Sana and Shin, because that's my normal go-to transformation. Now, say it with me, everyone. This is going to increase her AP, Wisdom, Vigor, Offense, and Defense. And there she is, the Ghoul. I do like the pose when she's in combat that you see in the upper left there for a moment, where she's just like, "Rawr, I'm gonna get you." Anyway, alright, focus. Okay, so out in the field, she does lose her field command, which is to break objects, but honestly, I don't think that's really going to be an issue. We already dealt with Cotland, where we had to use it to get in and out. Other than that, Katt is just better overall in this form. Combat-wise, Katt's special command has changed. It is no longer Taunt, it is now Keep, which is a good thing. She'll instead select an opponent, wait a turn, and then unleash hell. She is very, very dangerous, and she can do max damage if she has her final weapon in this form. No, she is able to cast spells in this form, but don't waste your AP. Everyone else is better at that instead. Now that we've got the Shamans out of the way, what we should do is discuss possible endgame team formations. And there are a lot of formations with a lot of Shaman combinations, and I've put together a list of 5 pretty good teams. Feel free to use whatever you like, these are just suggestions. And I'll have the Shamans I'm using with the teams listed by their names as well. So my favorite team is Rand, Katt, and Blue. It's very balanced. Katt is very, very glass cannony, and Blue has enough AP to pretty much last for a while, and she's very tanky with her ability to just heal all the way to max health whenever she feels like it. Next up is Rand, Katt, and Nina. Very similar to the first one, except it uses Nina in her fairy form, so you can just snap your fingers, banish a difficult fight, and not deal with the pain. Third option is Rand, Katt, and Sten. Yeah, you kind of see a trend here. I like Rand and Katt. Now this one focuses more on physical damage versus magical damage, and that's not really a problem. If needed, Sten does have some spells like Flame or Bomb to get you through anything that you would need it for. Additionally, you have 2 fast characters who can whip out healing items at the ready. Sten can also change enemy encounters to a more favorable one if one is slightly difficult. Then there's Rand, Jean, and Spar. Again, physically orientated. Jean's going to take care of every single normal enemy encounter. He's just not very good with bosses. And then Spar's there with the dragon form, so he can help Rand heal outside of combat and boost stats inside of combat. Lastly, we have Bo, Sten, and Sapling Spar. This is not my favorite team. I mean, you're going to be able to hit everyone. Spar is going to be able to focus attack but not heal. However, Sten is going to have a high enough speed that he's going to be able to heal in most cases anyway for you. And Bo is just going to come out blasting all the enemies. The reason I don't have Bo in more formations is because he's very difficult to put his knight transformation in a group, because he needs both Seny and Shin. Those are high demand Shamans. Next on the docket is to talk about how to break the game with cooking. And for that, I have a list of recipes. This is not all the recipes in the game, but it is by far the best recipes in the game. And luckily, we don't have to farm enemies for any of these, or fish or anything, because of the way we set up Township. Now, the 3 shops we need to break this game is Hans and Day in Township, and then the shop in Guns for F-Spice and Shave Ice. Now, before we start increasing stats, I would recommend making 12 double gold bars. And so for that, you're going to need 36 condition ups and 12 tunas. Luckily, we don't even have to leave town for that. If we come down here into houses 5 and 6, we can go and buy 36 conditions up from Hans here. Now, the reason we're only buying 36 is because they do not stack. Each one takes up one of our 48 inventory slots. Then over here in the fish shop, we can buy from Day 12 tunas that we need to finish this up. Luckily, those do stack, so it's pretty easy, and they're fairly cheap, so win-win. Now that we have the recipe and all the ingredients, what you're going to want to do with these is head up here to the carpenter's house, which is the kitchen, and we're going to cook. So all we're going to do is give him 3 condition ups and 1 tuna. Now there is a slight chance this could fail and we'll get 2 charcoals, but it is very, very rare. And with that, we get 2 gold bars. So we spent over 3 grand getting this with 3 condition up and a single tuna. However, each gold bar sells for 6 grand, so we are more than making up for it with this. So you're just going to want to keep repeating this until you're out of inventory. Now, once you've got all the money you ever need, the next thing we'll focus on cooking are biscuits and wise BLs. Biscuits are amazing because they'll heal the full party, no res, and give them defense up X, and a wise BL recovers 100 AP. To make these, you're going to want 2 dinkers for the biscuits, and dinkers are created by conditions up, so 4 conditions up make 1 biscuit. Wise BLs are made with 1 stamina and 2 tuna, and a stamina is made with 1 F-Spice and 2 tuna, so 1 F-Spice, 4 tuna gets you a wise BL. In short, you're going to want around 9 biscuits because they don't stack, and 4 stacks-ish of wise BLs, trust me. And then for stat increases, you don't really have to focus on all of them. I would really only focus on strength and defense, maybe agility, but I wouldn't worry about guts or luck. It's not really necessary. I'm going to refrain from that just for the players who didn't choose the cook or just don't want to deal with it, so I can show how that works. It's all up to you in the end. Lastly, if you want a little bit of an advantage for the final dungeon in the coming up episodes, you could go up to Gate and try to get a mammoth cloth for Katt and or Rand. It's very, very frustrating. They don't like to drop it, but there's always the chance they will. And remember, they are susceptible to the death spell. However, I wouldn't grind too much. If you get to level 40, you might want to stop grinding. It's not really necessary to go past level 40 with your characters, especially if you've been increasing their stats with the food items. But with that, I think this is where we're going to call it quits. This has been part 36 of our Breath of Fire 2 guided walkthrough, where we learned all about the Shamans, transformations, and cooking. Stay tuned for the next episode as we look for Patty in an attempt to save that dragon. Like the episode, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, as it'll help the channel grow. Thanks.